Yo, what is up guys? Delboy here, aka Blue Collar Sports TV. Hopefully you guys are doing well. If you're new here, smash that like, hit subscribe, all of that good stuff. So, Dazn in the last few days have announced their schedule for early 2022. And, you know, I'm sure you guys want to hear some cunt's opinion on this schedule. And that is where I come in. I'm going to be going card by card and giving you my thoughts on this schedule. So, we start on the 5th of February, a card headlined by Jesse Vargas versus Liam Smith. This fight takes place at super welterweight, and all in all, I mean, this is going to be a fan-friendly affair. Liam Smith naturally is an aggressive fighter, likes to come forwards, trade up on the inside, and Jesse Vargas is quite versatile. Primarily, I would describe him as the boxer type, but he can be drawn into wars. So put these two guys together, I'm pretty sure this is going to be a really fan-friendly affair. Both guys right now are fringe contenders at 154. Quite frankly, this fight doesn't really have much consequence for the top of the super welterweight division, but nevertheless, it's a really fan-friendly fight. It's a competitive fight, and it's a fight I'm looking forward to. And also on the undercard, you've got Saul Rungvisai versus Carlos Cuadras, and that is for the WBC super flyweight title. You know, Rungvisai and Cuadras, they are always good value for money. Put those two guys together, it's going to be a really good fight. This is actually a rematch. Cuadras won the first fight by a technical decision. So, yeah, this rematch is going to be good. Like I said, both guys always deliver in terms of excitement. So, that's a great co-main event right there. And all in all, that's a really good little card there. I can't complain. That's a solid card. Can't complain. Really, really good stuff in my opinion. We then, and by the way, that card is in the USA in Arizona. We then move to the 12th of February, and we have an interesting battle at super middleweight between Daniel Jacobs and John Ryder. Right now at 168, Canelo has all of the belts on lockdown. He's got all of the belts right now. So, you know, this fight, in my opinion, makes perfect sense for both guys and where they're at in their careers. Both guys at this point in time are looking for a title shot or another title shot. Both guys are top 10 in the division, so why not square off? This fight is actually taking place in the UK in London at Alexander Palace, so John Ryder has home advantage. Stylistically, this one should be pretty interesting. John Ryder primarily is an aggressive fighter. He's a southpaw, likes to apply pressure, but he is technically sound. Whereas Daniel Jacobs kind of fleets between being a boxer puncher and a traditional boxer. A good fight between two contrasting styles. I would make Danny Jacobs a favourite, but Danny Jacobs hasn't looked, he's not looked too good recently. So again, I see this as a really good fight, really good main event. Hopefully we get a good undercard, we shall see. But all in all, for a main event on, you know, Dazn, regular UK time, that's a pretty good fight. I can't complain. That's a pretty good fight. And we then move to February the 19th. Now, this is disappointing. Jaime Munguia versus Demetrius Ballard. Now, Demetrius Ballard is undefeated at 160, but quite frankly, he's not fought anybody. And, you know, this fight just doesn't get the mouth-watering per se. I felt the last fight for Munguia was a step in the right direction against Rosado, and quite frankly, I was looking for a step up from that, and more than likely, this is a step behind. I have to confess, I've not really seen much of Demetrius Ballard, so maybe I'm selling him short, but I've not really heard anybody say all of that. I've not really heard anybody praise Demetrius Ballard as some sort of unheralded prospect, so we'll see what happens here, but ultimately on paper, this fight right here is very disappointing as far as I'm concerned. Not particularly interested in this fight right now. Then we move to February the 27th. Lawrence Okolie is defending his WBO cruiserweight title, and he is fighting Michael Cieslak, a Polish cruiserweight. No complaints here. a good title defense for Lawrence Okolie. Michael Cieslak is a top 10 rated cruiserweight by the Ring magazine. He's a former world title challenger. He fought Makabu in the Congo, and some say he won that fight. It was very close, so he knows what it's like to travel. He's top 10 rated, and all in all, this is a pretty solid title defense for Lawrence Okolie. When I look at champions, obviously we want unification fights, but failing that, my standard for a champion is to fight your mandatories, and if you can't get a unification fight, at least fight genuine top 10 contenders, and that's exactly what Cieslak is. He's a top 10 contender at cruiserweight, so no complaints here. That's a solid B- type of fight. Good title defense, no complaints here. I think Lawrence Okolie is being moved quite well in his pro career, and quite frankly, he's been moved well since early on in his career. He seems to have ambition, which I like. I know his style's not for everybody, but he's definitely getting more watchable as he progresses in his career. So that's a good little fight right there. We then moved towards a great fight. Now this fight has pound for pound level implications. Juan Francisco Estrada versus Roman Gonzalez, the trilogy fight. Currently, it's at 1-1. Gonzalez won the first fight, Estrada won the second, although the second was very controversial. Nevertheless, it was a great fight. Roman Gonzalez is an all-time great, not just a Hall of Famer, he's an all-time great of the lower weight classes. Estrada himself, arguably a Hall of Famer. It's going to be a great fight, guys. It's going to be a great fight. These two guys are excellent to watch. Gonzalez has arguably the best pressure fighting game in boxing. Incredibly skilled, how he slips and parries, how he varies for combinations in regards to power. He can counterpunch on the front foot. And Estrada himself, he reminds me a little bit of Juan Manuel Marquez. Excellent counterpuncher, not scared to trade. You know, these two guys are real fighters. They leave it all on the line, and that's what you want as a boxing fan. Great fight. When it's all said and done, Gonzalez versus Chocolatito 3, that will be one of the most significant fights of 2022. Excellent fight, can't complain. We then move to the 12th of March, and once again, this is a good fight. Lee Wood is defending against Michael Conlan. Lee Wood, of course, is the WBA regular champion, and yeah, this is a really good fight, man. I can't complain. Lee Wood's coming off a really good win over Zhu Can, where he knocked him out late on, boxed a great fight. He was expected to lose that fight, so he's defending against Michael Conlan. Michael Conlan is not the greatest boxer to watch. He was a really good amateur, but as a pro, his style's not really all that entertaining. But he is tricky, he is awkward, and I see this as pretty much a 50-50 fight, quite frankly. Lee Wood, man, Lee Wood's definitely the bigger puncher. He's coming off some career best form, and Michael Conlan is unbeaten, looking to make that next step. So put these two guys together, and you're going to get a really intriguing fight. So I can't complain right there. Good fight. Hopefully, again, we get a good undercard. We then move to the 19th of March. Virgil Ortiz Jr. versus Michael Mckinson. Now, if you've been following this channel for any length of time, you would realise that I'm very high on Virgil Ortiz Jr. I love watching this guy fight. I think he's extremely talented, offensively gifted. But quite frankly, this fight, I'm not a big fan. Michael Mckinson, he's a tricky boxer, he's a southpaw, he's awkward, but he doesn't really have much power, and he's not fought above domestic level in the UK. This is a huge, huge step up for him, and quite frankly, I don't think he's ready, if I'm being honest. So, to me, given Virgil Ortiz's last couple of opponents, you know, Kavalauskas, what's his name? Maurice Hooker. I mean, Michael Mckinson is a considerable step back from those guys. So, pretty disappointing, quite frankly. And on top of that, apparently Virgil Ortiz has turned down a final eliminator with David Avanesian. That was ordered by the WBC. So honestly, I'm not happy with this fight. I don't get why they're not pursuing the Avanesian fight. It makes no sense to me, but it's not a good look. I've got to be honest about it. It's not a good look. I like Virgil, but I can't co-sign that. It's bullshit. So this fight to me, not great. Not great. And we then move to the 26th of March, and we have Kiko Martinez versus Josh Warrington 2. So yeah, this fight's going down in Leeds, Josh Warrington's hometown. What do we make of this fight? On paper, it's not a bad fight, but how we've got here is nothing short of a disgrace, as far as I'm concerned. So Josh Warrington was originally the IBF featherweight champion. Kid Galahad was his mandatory. Warrington vacated. He proceeded to get knocked out brutally and dominated by Mauricio Lara. He then rematched Lara and got away with a technical draw because he headbutted Lara. So he's not won a fight since he's vacated the title. Then the guy he vacated against, he won the vacant title against Jazza Dickens, and that was Kid Galahad. And then Kid Galahad proceeded to get knocked out by Kiko Martinez, and here we are full circle. Warrington is fighting for the title that he vacated to avoid his mandatory. To me, the situation is an absolute shit show, and I don't think Josh Warrington should be rewarded for such behaviour, quite frankly. I'm not saying it's a bad fight, but how we've got here is nothing more than a disgrace. I mean, I'd expect Warrington to win this fight, honestly. I know Martinez is coming off a great win, but he looked washed in that fight until he landed that perfect shot. So I'm expecting Warrington to win this fight, but will Warrington fight Lara again? I doubt it. He knows Lara's got his number. He knows Lara's too strong, hits too hard. So yeah, I've lost a lot of respect for Josh Warrington in recent months, I've got to be honest. But it is what it is, man. It's not a bad fight, but I don't like the circumstances surrounding it, if I'm being honest. But yeah, all in all, I've got to admit, this schedule, 8 fight cards, and obviously we need to see the undercards, but this whole, this schedule right here, I can't really complain. We've got a pound for pound level fight in Estrada versus Chocolatito, and we have some solid fan friendly affairs like Danny Jacobs versus John Ryder, Vargas versus Liam Smith, Rungvisai versus Quadras, Leewood versus Michael Conlon is very intriguing. All in all, it's a pretty good run of fights. I'm sure they're going to add more as the weeks progress. But, I've seen far worse. So I'm not going to complain all that much. I think it's satisfactory. And we'll see what other fights get announced in the coming weeks. Share your thoughts below. It's been your guy Delboy.